Now we're reaching speeds between 83 and 89 miles an hour, and then we're pulling 5 to 7 Gs, give or take the track that we're at. That's the scary part that you mentioned, that we find joy in. You want to visualize yourself making the great plays, doing all the right things. And I think that plays such a big role into now you're going into your competition or your training session with the confidence you need. It's playing and sliding without the fear of failure, right? Play with a fear of failure. So we hold ourselves back. It's like, maybe if I go a little bit too hard, it's not going to work out in my favor. But it's like, what if it does?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the PerformHappy Podcast. I'm chomping at the bit here to talk to my guest who is what I call a scary sport athlete, which is a lot of who I think I like to support is athletes who for some reason want to do these really cool, really crazy things with their bodies and just push to the max. So we have Team USA skeleton athlete Andy Whittier here today. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you, Rebecca. Super happy to be here.
I'm pumped. So for those of you who don't know, skeleton is the one where you person in a tiny sled going extremely fast down the ice. Would you kind of like talk us, non-skeleton enthusiasts through what this entails?
Yeah. So the normal kind of progress is when we meet people and they're like, oh, what are you doing? We're like, oh, we compete in the Winter Olympic sport of skeleton. They're like, what is that? So you usually start with bobsled, right? Do you know what bobsled is? Yes. I've seen Cool Runnings. Great base to start from, right? And then we're like, all right, so same track, but now we're going down by ourselves, head first, a centimeter off the ice. And that's what we do. Now we're reaching speeds between 83 and 89 miles an hour, or for our European friends, 130 and 140 kilometers an hour. And then we're pulling 5 to 7 Gs, give or take the track that we're at. That's the scary part that you mentioned that we find joy in.
That's the key too, is that there's a reason we get into these flow states when we do incredible things with our bodies. So now you were a football player first, and actually for a guy who's on an Olympic track, you're actually fairly new to the skeleton thing.
Oh, yeah.
Would you give us kind of your background as an athlete?
Yeah, so grew up playing football my whole life. Came from a single mother growing up, so it was like choose one sport. And as a kid, I was like, I'm in love with football, so let's do that. Had the opportunity to play for Idaho State University at the collegiate level. Did that for 4 years. Earned a lot of athletic and academic accolades. Super happy for my progress there and what I helped accomplish with those guys. And then from there on, it's like every kid's dream. Like, I want to play for the NFL. Okay. Did my pro day, had a great experience. Most NFL teams aren't really looking for a 5'7", 165-pound guy. And like, all right, you know what? That's fair. But I had some good pro day numbers. So I had a couple tryouts with the Canadian Football League. Nothing panned out for me. And that's okay. That led me into what I'm doing now. But it wasn't like this is like knocking on my door. Hey, we're looking for you. I was actually at home doom scrolling through social media. I came across an online ad that said USA bobsled skeleton tryout. And I was like, all right, well, I know what bobsled is. Like I said, I've seen Cool Runnings. I looked up what skeleton was and I'm like, why would anyone want to do that? And so I sent my numbers in. And a month later, I was invited to a training camp here in Park City, Utah. And I showed up and I'm like, cool, I'm ready to be a bobsledder. And then the same thing I've been told my whole life, you're not big enough. And I was like, cool. And so after that, they're like, all right, you're going to do skeleton. And I was like, all right. So from that day on, they put us on a sled and away we went. And 5 years later, here we are, loving the sport, getting better every day. And like you said, finding our flow state, finding what we really love. And as we call it, chasing speed on every track that we're at. So it's a really cool transition from football, where it's all just power, grit, welcome to the gridiron, to, yeah, you still have a lot of power and dynamics here, but now you have to be super calm. I like to say it's like a mix between track and football at the explosiveness of the start, but then you have to be super calm like a golfer during your golf swing on the rest of the track, because that's the other half of our sport, is relaxed at 83 miles an hour, just finding that flow state.
Yeah. And that, as a gymnast, it makes sense. Like, the vault is really powerful and then you've got the balance beam. And so to have both of those modes in one discipline is really pretty impressive. And so how do you train for that mentally and physically?
Yeah. So one of the cool, obviously we're a winter sport, right? So we just started here on ice in Park City, Utah 3 days ago, right? And we'll go from now until the end of March, right? When winter's over. And then the training for that's easy, right? We go down the ice or the track. But the crazy thing is we only get 2 to 3 minutes on the ice a day because of how fast we're going and how many G's we're pulling. Our necks can't support that kind of force that often. So you really have to make sure you're dialed in for those 2 or 3 minutes that you get a run a day. And then after that, once you go home and recover and do all that, now is when the extra training and the real, what I said, I kind of like to think this is the real kind of set yourself aside training. Now we're laying on our sled, we're watching POV videos, we're taking mind runs, we're here, we're feeling the track, where we should be, breathing in and out of corners. Those are going to be the difference it takes, because now I can do 10 minutes of mind runs, feel the sled, be where I need to be, without having to worry about all the external noise, all the running, getting tired and everything like that. I can really visualize and put myself into that. So during the season and during the off season, it's those times off the ice that actually make a bigger difference than when we're on the ice.
I'm just applying this to so many sports where
Yeah.
people don't understand the power of imagery. I mean, because you're literally doing 2 to 3 minutes of actual physical practice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is, of course, you're strengthening your body.
Yeah.
But you're tuning your mind in for this process.
Yeah. And the imagery, I think it's becoming a lot more focused, I think, in today's world of sports, which I love to see from high school to college to the Olympic teams. It's what's needed, right? You want to visualize yourself making the great plays, doing all the right things. And I think that plays such a big role into now you're going into your competition or your training session with the confidence you need. All right, today's objective, I'm worried about curves 1, 2, 3. That's it. I'm going to take care of the rest of the track, but my big focus is right here. So now I can execute these and then I can keep going down the track. So that way it's no wasted days. And because if you waste a day, it's like, well, now I got to wait 24 hours till I get back to do this again. And you're like, man. And then like when the time comes, right, and competition comes, maybe you fell just a little bit short and you're like, what if I just focus just a little bit more on that one day? Would that have changed the outcome for right now? And you never want to go into those situations of like, what if? Did I do enough? I always believe you want to go into those situations as prepared as possible. And you've done everything you can to put yourself in the winning position.
Yes. So, okay. So with this whole, like, you kind of have to be perfect on this one run. I like how you specifically said, like, you're not trying to be perfect the entire 2 to 3 minutes. You are trying to improve 3 specific moments. Now, do you catch yourself going, but the other stuff was bad? Do you ever do that where you totally nail what you set out to do, but then you beat yourself up about the other stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Like right now, just getting back on ice these last 3 days, like I personally break the track down into a couple different sections and I've been nailing the sections I need to, working on the things I want to, and then I'll get to the bottom of the track. In our world, I will steer and come out of 14 and I'm in there and I'm like, oh, I held that too long, and I can just feel myself in a long straightaway aiming towards the wall. And I'm like, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. And I'm like, ah, well, there goes half a second. And in our world, half a second's an eternity. So it's like I nailed everything I wanted to. And then I got to the bottom, like, dang, it's this one thing. But it's like, okay, shake that off. Next run, still execute the things I'm focused on. Now, when this time comes, let's make sure we're a little more dialed into that part of the track.
Yes. And that whack-a-mole, I think for perfectionists can be such a confidence trap. Because you set out a goal, you reach the goal, and then you're mad at yourself about something that wasn't even on the table for that run. So I'm always trying to encourage athletes to give yourself the pat on the back for goodness sake about the thing you did. And then instead of going, oh no, that was so bad, you go, and the next thing we'll add to the list of improvements is this. And this is what I'm going to do next time to make it better.
Exactly. Like for us, a normal, let's say we're in season, it's time to race, right? We'll normally get 3 days of official training is what we call. And that's about 2 runs a day. And then on that 4th day, we race. So like I said, most people, myself included, break the track up into different sections. All right, day 1, I'm working on the first 4 corners. Day 2, the middle 4 corners. Day 3, the last 4. And it's like, all right, I did these in order of how I'm going down the track. Now it's time to bring all that together on the race days and execute all in one. I don't want to execute it all on day 1, not all on day 2, not on day 3, but day 4, I put it all together. Now I'm ready to compete.
And I think that's such a great strategy for, again, like a lot of the athletes who listen to this are perfectionists, or at least trying to overcome perfectionism. So to give yourself permission to go, yes, there's a meet in 4 days, but this practice, I'm doing this part. And that's okay. And everything else is icing on the cake.
Yeah, I love it. And there's a quote by Kobe Bryant, and I might mess this up, but it's like, I'm never going to be perfect, but I'm going to strive to achieve it every day.
And you can want it. And I think just that gentleness with yourself around, and we're going to improve here. Okay, next we're going to try this. Okay, next we're going to do this, which doesn't have to be self-deprecating. It doesn't have to be frustration or anger. It can be just cool, that's just another check that we're going to check off on the next training day.
Yes, 100%. I think that plays like the self-affirmation, basically. It's like, hey, I nailed this curve, whatever I'm working on, whatever sport. I'm great with this. I can keep honing in on this. Now let's take it to, this is my weakness here. Now let's bring my attention to here. I don't need to keep harping on myself about why I can't do it. I need to visualize the best ways I can do it. And I think a lot more athletes are starting to understand that, like, stop focusing on why you can't do things and focus on why you can do them and how you're going to execute them.
Yes, the technical focus is so important. And so I have to go back to that point where you're at the end and you're like, don't hit. And I'm like, no, that's not the affirmation that we want, right? So what's the one technical thing that you need to do in that one moment to stay off the wall?
Yeah, right. And then like that goes into our mind runs that I mentioned a second ago. So after we finish our runs, now we're running through our head. All right, here's what I did in curve 12, curve 13. Here's why I went into curve 14. This is the moment that I know I messed up on. All right, my next run, or for me, it was going into our off day today. So now I get a whole day to think about it. I know what I need to execute. So going into tomorrow, I know exactly where I need to breathe, let off, and just let it ride, coming out there smooth.
Yes. Okay. So now we got to talk about the fact of this is probably a terrifying thing the first time you do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was that like the first time that you said, sure, strap me in and send me down?
Yeah. So obviously we're not sending athletes from the very top of a track because it's dangerous at that point, right? So they put you on a skeleton sled and you lay there and they have a track worker just push you off the little star ramp they have. And you're not going very fast, but everything in your body's like, what life choices did you make to end up in this situation right here? And I remember I was laying there going into curve 6 my 5 years ago, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then you keep going. You're like, I can't stop. So I guess I'm going to be doing this. Yeah, it was very terrifying because it's all of a sudden is like, I'm doing like 50 miles an hour out of nowhere. I'm like, what are we doing here? And so eventually you start to like, after taking a couple bumps and bruises, which is just kind of the nature of the sport from lower curves because you don't have the speed that you need, you find the joy in this. You find the smoothness in this. And I was talking to one of our start coaches yesterday. They tell us rookies, because like you're hitting a wall and like, what can I do to get better? And going from lower starts, there's not really a lot you can do because you don't have the speed that's necessary. And I remember one of the coaches was like, yeah, the faster you go, the easier the sport gets. Which sounds asinine, honestly. It's like, you're telling me I go 80 plus miles an hour, this is going to get easier? That doesn't make, just naive athlete, right? That doesn't make sense. And 100%, obviously, the coach is right. And that's what I've learned over these last couple of years is like, trust the process. The speed is going to help you. Embrace it, relax with it, and trust it. The sled is going to want to do what it's going to want to do. And you just have to be along for the ride and only adjust it when you need to. And everything's going to be okay. So it goes from a terrifying moment 5 years ago to be like, all right, I want the speed.
And I think I can apply that to other sports too, where if you hesitate, if you go short, if you are, playing not to lose, you have these moments where it's like you actually need that full power to be safe, to be effective, to be consistent. I mean, I'm sure there's been an evolution over 5 years of you trusting yourself, but where did that trust come from?
It was definitely built more last year. Like I had my most successful season last year, hands down. And the phrases that I would say to myself at the top of the line, right? I'm standing there at the top of the track. It's about to be my turn to go. And I'm telling myself a couple of things. One, run, let it run, because we have to push our sled, right? So I just run, let it run. 2, relax and trust it. And everything's going to be okay. And just those 2 reminders at the beginning of a race really just calm me down. I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be fine. If I hesitate, like you said, it's only going to get worse. If I tense up because I'm scared or something like that, I'm not going to get the full effect or be as good as I could be. So I'm really holding myself back from the potential that I have. And so the relax and trust has been like my biggest thing of the sled's here. I'm here. I've done the work. I've put in everything I need to do. Now let's just go here and perform. You only got to do it for 48 seconds. Let's go get it.
Yep. Okay. So now you use the word fearless. What does that mean to you?
I think in transition from football to this, it's playing and sliding without the fear of failure, right? So many of us, like you said a second ago, play with a fear of failure. So we hold ourselves back. It's like, maybe if I go a little bit too hard, it's not going to work out in my favor. But it's like, what if it does? You never know if you always hold yourself back. So like for us, one of the biggest things that I had to get over is in our world. So we push the sled to start it, right? A lot of us are basically start from like a track stance, like out of the blocks, right? So it's flat and then you go over a crest and now it's running downhill. Running downhill on ice is a wild world and a concept to like wrap my head around in the first place. And so the first couple of times I did this, I'm like, how are we doing this? Right. And so finally I was like to the point of like, if I don't give it everything I can, I'm holding myself back and actually causing more problems for me off the top. So I need to just be free, let it run, and I'm going to be fine from this moment on. So it's that moment of like, just let yourself go, let your true athleticism that's in your body that you know you have, every athlete knows they have it, just let it come out. Don't be afraid of anything else. It's you. And in that moment, that's all that matters. Like, that's one of the other things I tell myself, just me and this run, nothing else in the world matters. Not my friends, not my family, not any bills I have to pay, not my cars, nothing. 48 seconds, just me and this run. And I think that's applicable to a lot of sports, right? Like I think about like the kids I used to coach in football, right? Only thing that matters for the next 48 minutes for you guys is this team right here. Your schoolwork doesn't matter. Nothing else matters around what you guys do together for the next 48 minutes. And for me, it's 48 seconds. So it's trusting that you have done the process to put yourself in a great position.
Okay, we've got the big O looming. The Olympics we're almost into an Olympic year. So
we have started.
We're in, I mean, you're in the block, you're deep into the block. And so, we're already like within 12 months of the event.
Oh yeah, we're February.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. We're 5 months away.
You've carved out this time for me during your critical training time. Thank you so much. So you're in that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Does the fear come up? And what do you do when you feel the fear, which is around, maybe the fear of failure more so than the fear of actually doing the.
Yeah, that's something I don't think I've quite got to yet, right? This will be my first attempt at any Olympic Games. So I don't think that has quite hit me yet. And just kind of to preface this for how this works for our world, right now we're in Park City, Utah. So we have what's called selection races. So we're racing against our own teammates to decide who goes on which circuits. So we have World Cup circuit, European Cup circuit, and North American Cup. And I'm only going to speak for the men's side because the women's very similar. They just qualify one more sled. But we will race each other, and it'll be the top 3 sleds will go to World Cup. The next 4 will go to European Cup, and then the next 6 will go North American Cup. After November 1st, that's all set in stone, and then we go off and race our respective circuits. We race 7 races up until January 21st. Once that's done, our governing body, the IBSF, has tally points that you'll get points for each race. Whoever is leading the Americans point-wise is actually who's going to go represent us in the games. We might qualify 1 sled, we might qualify 2 sleds. It just depends how well you did on your circuit and what earned those races. So right now, I think that fear of failure hasn't quite hit until January 21st, because it's like, I still just need to do my job and take this one day at a time. Like, I'm not worried about any of the season races. I'm only worried about the next 6 training days and then our 2 race days. And then from there, all right, let's go race. And then from there, it's one day at a time, race, travel, one day at a time, race. So the fear of failure, I think, will either come on January or be really excited in January. It'll be a very interesting feeling going into these first games for me.
I would just say you probably can influence that. You have this incredible strategy already and I'm hearing this theme with you is that you're very present. You're in one turn at a time. You're in one technical execution moment at a time. You're in one day at a time. I mean, that is the perfect balance from my perspective, is that you've got this humongous dream way out there, but then you're just like moving your feet, 1 foot, next foot, 1 foot, next foot.
Amen. Yeah. I've thought about this from like the time I played football and everything. If you're thinking the way we talked about it, from players to coaches, if you're so worried about another team that you're playing in the future that you can't focus on right now, you've already lost. So don't worry about the future. It hasn't been happening yet. You're in the present. Take care of what's in front of you right now.
Yes. And you're in let's solve the technical adjustment that will make that final turn smooth and effortless. You're just in those little fine-tuning moments. And I don't know that there has to ever be any different. I mean, if every single athlete from, like the tiniest competition to the Olympics is focused in on their technique,
yes,
it gives them the best possible chance at success.
And I think you made a great point there, right? Obviously the Olympics are like the world stage, and like we have aspirations for that too. But then, like you said, there's small competitions as well. And I don't think those should be looked down upon at all, right? A competition at a time to compete for you, your team, whatever it may be, don't take that lightly as any athlete, right? You still put the hard work in. You still put the dedication of yourself in. It's time to show out and show whatever sport you're doing. It's not a light thing to take. You're here to win. You didn't put those hours of training aside. You didn't put all that training for nothing, right? You didn't skip hanging out with friends. You didn't miss all these birthdays for anything. You did this for a reason. We had this phrase in football. It was the hay's in the barn. It's time to get paid. So no matter the size of the competition, you put the effort in, it's time to cash in and win.
Okay. Have you had any spectacular failures along the 5 years? What's kind of your biggest fail so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, last season was like my best season, hands down. And we'll get that in a second. But when I first started the sport, the races I did get invited to, I took last in every race. And that was detrimental. Like, I'm not one that handles that very well mentally. Up front, it's stone cold. Like, you're not going to tell that I'm feeling it on the inside. But in my mind, I'm like, what is happening? What is going on here? So again, just trusting the process, slowly making little gains at a time. Those were the big failures in my moments. We'll go back a little bit further to my rookie year. I come out to Park City, Utah for 2 weeks. I like the sport. They like me. They invite me back out. I'm at the top of the track. I jog off the top because I'm still terrified to run. So I'm probably not sprinting downhill at this point yet, but I'm going. I'm having a really tough time with curve 12, 13 transition, and I wreck. I crash. I come out of my sled. And the night before, our coaches and the bobsled coach that was here was just telling us about what can happen if you wreck and if you stay on the ice too long. You get what's called ice burn, which will just eat through your speed suit, eat through your skin, and just all around bad. So like I crashed and I'm like, oh my gosh, kind of terrified. I'm moving around trying to stop. Finally get stopped, get out of the track. And I was like, oh, I'm okay. I'm alive. Like, I'm not hurt. I'm not cut. Everything's great. I'm not concussed. I get up to the top of the track and I'm like, I got to take another run within 15 minutes or I might not ever do this sport again. So like, that was a big moment for me to like have a crash so early in my career, know I'm going to survive, know I'm going to be okay, and keep going. Cause it's like, yeah, this is just part of the sport. And then so to go from there to build on there, like, okay, no more crashes. We're good. We can handle this, handle more speed. And then get invited to races. And like I said, just take last. It's like, man, what is going on? But finally started to figure little things out, get a little bit better going into my third year. They invite me, I can move up in rank, which allows me to then live at the Olympic Training Center in Lake Placid, New York. And that's last summer. And that was kind of like the turning point of my career. I got put on a different sled. And then going into last year, after working with our start coach and some of our other coaches going over track mapping and stuff like that over the summer, I was able to win our national push championships in Lake Placid. I was able to win the North American Cup last year. And then going into this year, win the national push championships again, and then just kind of set myself up for a successful year going into Olympic year. But yeah, the transition of like crashing a lot of last places to winning to what is the potential future from here on out has been a fun transition and a very humbling one at that.
Well, and humility can be quite helpful in a sport, I think. Usually failure is our greatest teacher and it's our best source of wisdom. So what were those big takeaways from, that kind of brutal phase of your...
The not giving up part, right? The easy thing to do would have been like, yeah, I'm not getting any better. Why am I doing this? Like, I'm nowhere near the top. Is this really the sport for you, right? Like, why are you going to keep pursuing something you're not good at? I mean, we tell skeleton athletes like, hey, it's going to take 4 to 7 years to develop you into a good driver. And as arrogant athletes coming from college where we were some of the best, we're like, I can do this right away. What do you mean? And that's the humbling part, because you come here and you're like, nope, you're right. This is going to take a minute. And so it's remembering that of like, this is going to take some time. If it took you 12 years or whatever it was to be good at your previous sport, why do you think you can just jump into this sport and be the legend at it right away? Right? Relax, trust what the coaches say, trust the process. If you keep applying what you have, everything is going to work out in your favor in the long run, right? It's not about show up, win the Olympics, and go home. It's like, if you can do that, congratulations. Like, absolutely. But that's not the realistic goal. And I'm a very optimistic person. So understanding that realism was a huge, huge take into my heart.
Yeah. So, okay, you've got this concept of, okay, I'm doing a lot of hard work, doing this very hard thing, and I'm not succeeding.
Yeah.
What was it that kept you after it?
Honestly, the thing that kept after it the most was the desire to represent our country on the world stage and have the opportunity to go against the best athletes in the world, right? I think about that in the terms of, we have the NFL, MLB, NBA, everything like that, NHL in America, and those are the top dudes in their respective sports in the world, right? Now, this is my chance to go against the best in the world from other countries as well, because I just want to, like, if I'm good, I want to know how good somebody else is. And if they're the best, I want to go against them. How good am I to go against the best, right? And the old phrase, to be the best, you have to beat the best, right? Which I haven't done yet. So it's still just on the upward trend for me. So it's like, that's my goal, is to get to the point where I can compete with the best that there is.
So, okay, that dream is obviously this amazing pulling force. And any Olympian I've ever talked to, they've got that dream and it's crystal clear and it's a picture in their mind and they can like taste the thing happening.
Oh, yeah.
But do you ever get imposter syndrome? Like, I love that you're like, yes, give me the best guy. I want to go against that guy. Do you ever have a part of you that's like, but wait, that guy? Who am I? Does that come up?
Sometimes. I think the imposter syndrome comes a little bit more when I see my friends and family or like the dudes I grew up with. I'm like, okay, they're into their careers, they're having families, they're doing stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just doing some adult sledding out here. Like, what am I doing? Like, and this was kind of like a pivoting moment for me last year and everything too. Like, do I keep pursuing this? Because I'm going to be into my life, we could say, into my 30s by the time I could be on a podium for the Olympics, or do I transition into the life mode and have a wife and have some kids and focus on my career and stuff? So I think that's a little more of the imposter syndrome, is like, are you still just an athlete trying to chase a little kid dream inside of you? That's a little more of what I feel from the imposter syndrome.
Well, and when you pursue such a big dream that not everybody understands, that can, I mean, we all want as humans to fit in and be normal and be a part of something and be acceptable. But I think just being willing to put yourself out there and go, you know what, I want to be an Olympian. So
yeah, and that
we'll get back to that.
Yeah, that was a big moment for me last year, was committing to moving out to Lake Placid, stopping coaching football, stopping my job at the credit union to just give this everything I have, right? If I'm going to do this, I need to know that I gave it my all, right? I don't want to have that what if in 5, 10, 15 years. What if I'd have just tried a little bit harder? Because that, I think, would eat at me more than anything else. And obviously we hear that from our grandparents and everything, where like that's the respectful wisdom they pass down to us of the, man, in my day, I wish I would have. And then it's like, they tell you, never live your life full of what ifs. I'm like, all right, I'm committed to this 100%. The only way I'm stopping is if somebody tells me I'm too slow and I need to stop. And I'm like, all right, got it.
I feel like that wouldn't be enough to stop you though.
If I didn't make our qualifying time, it might be. But right now we're still on a good path.
Good. Okay. So now you talk about your team a lot. You talk about the group that you're working toward. And some athletes are very like me centered, but you seem like you are more driven by the team factor. How does that play a role?
Yeah, I definitely attribute that to coaching and the way I was raised through football and playing a team sport, obviously. And when we do compete, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but if we're on a team, right, and we've got our 3 World Cup sleds, when it comes to race day, it's still us 3 versus each other versus the other nations as well, right? So we could still take 2nd, 8th, 11th, right? And we all get our respective times and points that way. But when it comes to off-season training and regular training and sliding and stuff, now it's time to work as a team. It's like, hey, what did you do here? All right, I'm going to try this too. What runners are you on? Okay, I'm on these. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what you're feeling. And kind of building that rapport with your team that way to make sure that as a team, we are doing our best potential to sweep a podium, right? That's my big vision for the USA, is to sweep podiums for men and women. And then when it comes to summer training, this is the holding each other accountable. Are you showing up for lifts? Are you showing up for sprints? Are you showing up for recovery? Are you doing the things that are asked of you from us, our coaches, the federation, and the country, that when your time is called to represent us, are you the best possible athlete and representation of what you should be? Or did you slack off? And if you slacked off, 1, that's your fault. 2, that's also on your teammates' faults for not holding you more accountable. I want to hold my teammates accountable, and I expect them to hold me just as accountable. It's a 2-way street. And I love that feeling. I think we've built that foundation so well this last 2 summers.
That is such a cool perspective, because most of the athletes that listen to this are individual sport athletes. Mm-hmm. And so there is that dichotomy of, we are together when we're training and we are against each other when we're competing. Mm-hmm. But that concept of, let's fill the podium.
Yeah.
That's so cool, because it's a win-win. It's like, yes, let's have our colors on the whole top of that podium. How amazing would that feel?
Exactly. And it's like, I tell people all the time, it's like, I will be just as happy for my teammate if he is above me on the podium or below me on the podium, as I would hope he would be if I'm above him or below him. That's all I care about, is this national anthem playing for any one of us, because that is one of the most unreal, heart-filling moments, is having the national anthem play on top of the podium for you, for your teammates, and then having everybody sing it with you it's honestly something like, you see it in the movies and you're like, man, to really experience that in the real world, it tugs on some heartstrings that you thought you had, but man, is it a deeper feeling.
I still cry at a march in for a little kid gymnastics meet during the national anthem. I'm not kidding. I well up. What is that? There's so much power in that unifying moment of sports. Yes. It's kind of wild.
It's so important. I think it's becoming kind of a thing again, but like the 1980 Olympics, right? Like that hockey team, they brought the country together in a moment of need. And that's kind of what it feels like we do every Olympics, is like, hey, we're expected to do great things as a USA. The world's looking up to us to do it right now. Let's do it right here together.
Yeah, but that unity, I mean, it's so powerful. And I see that the difference between club gymnastics and college gymnastics is where it really is all about the team score, and everyone gets happier. Everyone gets better. It's just incredible to watch these people thrive when they're contributing to a team. It just it takes the pressure off and allows you to sink in and flow with it. So for you to be able to tap into that in this hyper competitive Olympic level, that's, I think, pretty special and probably very powerful.
It's very powerful. And I think you said a very important thing there a second ago, was watching the team build into each other makes everybody better, right? That is such a huge thing. If we can make each other better instead of hiding secrets from each other, I think that takes your team dynamic and team chemistry to a whole nother level. And you can watch teams quickly fall apart that don't have that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, other than training, what are you up to? Is there any room for anything else in your life right now? Or is this all?
Oh man, I'll be honest. My happy place is in the gym, is on the track, is on the ice. I've committed so much of my time to this. And I had this conversation with one of my teammates last year, because we will travel to some incredible places that have hosted Olympics and everything. And there are gorgeous places over in Europe, here in America, in Canada, over in Asia. And normally, like when you get there, like they're great sites to see, right? But at what cost is it going to cost you, right? Does it take away from your recovery time for you to be able to do better? And so I had this conversation with my teammate last year. It's like, when we're here to learn, execute, and dominate, and that's it. And then we'll move on to the next. And then when the season's over, or when your career's over, is when you can go back and visit these places. So for like me, for my example, I told him, guys, when we're at these places, I appreciate the invite to go out and everything. I'm not going to tell you not to, so I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I respectfully won't be going, because what I want to do is after this whole thing is over and I have my family and I have my kids, I want to be like, hey, you guys want to go see what I used to do in these amazing locations? Okay, let's go to Lillehammer, Norway. Let's go cheer on the USA bobsled and skeleton team that's there competing right now. And now we can tour the city. Now we can go see all these amazing sites. We can go to Switzerland. We can go to St. Moritz and see these great things. We can go to Cortina, Italy and experience the culture and cheer on everybody that we're here to cheer on. But as far as like the athletic world that I'm built into right now, it is so like laser focused on just what I'm doing, because that just brings me so much happiness too. I guess the only other thing that's like going on in my life is I just swore into the Utah National Guard as part of our WCAP program. So I'll be going off to basic in April for next summer. And then I'll be a United States soldier competing for Team USA.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, Andy, I cannot wait for February. This is so exciting. I'm so inspired. And I see this like crystal clear vision in you, that this vision that goes to February and it goes beyond and beyond and beyond. And that ability to vision and imagine and see the reality that you're creating. I mean, that's the reason why it will happen, is because it's so clear and you're so laser focused on it. So if anyone can take anything away, it's like, be like Andy. If you want something, it can really happen for you.
Yeah, find the joy in the little things. And it's going to be on a very uncomfortable journey. I don't want to make this be like sunshine and rainbows all the time, right? Like that's a false perception. One of the greatest things my college football coach told me is be comfortable being uncomfortable, because the life we're choosing, like you said, is not the normal life. You will end up choosing your athletic desires over your friends' weddings, over your friends' and parents' birthdays. You will have competitions and trainings overseas that you will have to go to, that if you really want that big prize at the end of your vision, if they truly support you, they will understand why you won't be at XY events. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things athletes need to understand, is you'll find out really quick who is in your corner, and through all the trainings and all the bad stuff, and who really just wants to be there at the end for you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Andy, this has been such a pleasure. If people want to track your journey, follow you, hire you to be their keynote speaker, how do they find you?
Yeah, easiest way, two ways. My website, andywhittier.com, great way to reach me. I kind of keep that updated with everything that's going on. And then Instagram is where I share all of the sliding stuff, everything that's going on with my sponsors as well. And that's just Andy_Whittier_. Super easy. Just my name. It'll be the dude in red, white, and blue sliding headfirst.
You'll know him when you see him. Well, thank you so much for carving some time out of your training schedule. I'm really excited for you. I've got good feelings. So for what that's worth, I'm pumped. We're going all the way.
Thank you.
Yes. Nice to meet you. And I'm all the best in your journey.
Thank you, Rebecca. It means a lot. Thank you for having me on.